So I start from the beginning, I would say. Let's share my screen. Can you see my presentation? Maya, can you give me some feedback?
Yes, now we can see the presentation. Yes.
Okay, I will jump back quickly to the agenda. So because the time is running, let's have an overview about the presentation agenda. So I quickly jump into the topic quality assurance of BIM model, give you an understanding about what is IDS and how the IDS workflow looks like with Solibri before I do some live demo about the IDS editor and also how you can check the IDS file that you have created with the IDS editor. So here a quickly overview how I segmented quality control. Quality control, on the top you see the criteria check, where you can do the advanced checking of your BIM model, like for an example building codes, and so you can do an escape route analysis and so on. So you're checking information contents and their relationships to each other. But for doing that, it is necessary that the geometric quality as well as the information quality is good enough in your BIM model. That means you need to check for hard clashes and also soft clashes. So you are checking, doing, for an example, a clash detection check, or soft clashes like where you are checking distance from two components. And the other thing is like to check if the information in your model is correct. So you are checking the level of information that is in your model, and if that is has a good quality in that sense, also if the required quality is given in your BIM model. So this is where IDS comes in. But let's have a quick look how the workflow looks like. So you, if you are a BIM modeler and you have, for an example, created or modeled a stair here on the left in your authoring tool, then this stair has some information attached, especially in the IFC schema. So this stair has the IFC entity given IFC stair, for an example. It could have also attributes like a name or a GUID, so a unique identifier, number or characters in that sense. So there are some attributes given on this stair. Then also properties could exist. Properties like IFC properties or custom properties. IFC properties behind the stair could be, for an example, what kind of fire rating does that stair have? Is it 1 hour? Is it half an hour? Or is that stair external or is it internal? So it could have some more information, standardized information given by Building Smart. And you can, of course, attach this information to the stair. And then there could be also some customized properties. So when the IFC schema or the IFC properties are not enough, you can also attach some additional information. Like, for an example, who is the prefector of that stair or something else? What is an add-on for your project? Yeah. And then there are some other informations like relations or part of. So this stair could have a relation to other components in your model. For an example, your story, if you have a story, you want to know like which components are existing in your first floor or in your second floor. So this stair could have a relation to the story. Then also some other information like material. So what is this stair made of? Is it made of steel? Is it concrete or other material? That kind of information could be attached behind that component, as well as classification. So maybe some of you are working with classification like OmniGlass or Uniclass. So it's kind of similar with the Solibri classification, what you are already knowing. So you can give that component a classification already given in the IFC file. So all of these informations are called in IDS facets, but more on that later. So let's have a quick look how was the old way or the traditional way of checking that kind of information in Solibri. So in Solibri, there was some rules existing, the property rules, where you have needed to create a lot of rules to check single informations in a way. So you could do that with rule 203 or 230 or rule number 9 to check the information in Solibri. But that was coming along with a lot of effort because every rule needed to be created from the scratch in a way. And of course, we have also a solution where you can import an Excel sheet with information, but it's also not so handy. So that's why we have created in Solibri a new way of checking of information, and we implemented the IDS rule. It's called IDS validation rule, rule number 244 if you search it in the rule set manager, and it works like I'm just drag and drop the IDS file and run the check. And now I can look, of course, which components are containing that kind of information, what I'm checking, and which are not. And so the ones that are failing, I can create an issue out of that. Here, for an example, we are checking if the walls here on the right side, we can see it like have the property is external or not. But let's go one step back. What is IDS? IDS stands for Information Delivery Specification. It's a standard developed by Building Smart, and version 1 was launched in June 2024. So it's kind of new, and Building Smart was working on that for a long time, and now finally it's released. So with IDS, you can convert a human readable exchange information requirements, EIR, into in a machine readable format. So you are able to check, you are able to do a validation check in a way. So IDS enables the formalization of EIR. I guess most of you know the EIR, exchange information requirements, especially when you are working in BIM projects. It's also part of the ISO 9065 50. And so this is a document where you're specifying what kind of information requirements should your BIM model have in a way. That's why IDS is also heavily related to the IFC schema. So whenever you are creating an IDS file, you are using the IFC terminology. So for an example, IFC stair should have the properties is external. That's an example. So the whole IDS topic is following the Open BIM approach. When you now created an IDS file and you open that with an XML editor, you will see that the IDS file is an XML file. So it's kind of also of human readable in a way, and also machine readable. So that is why you can use the XML file to do an automatic validation of your model content. So we have created these IDS rule where you just where you are able like to import the IDS file and do then the checking. So who benefits of IDS? It's the client and also the contractors, because you have a clear and specific information requirements, and you can use the IDS file all the time to check if your BIM model fulfills the requirements what are specified in the IDS file. So you have all the time an automated compliance check if you want to do a compliance check, of course. So let's have a look at the IDS workflow in Solibri. How does the workflow look like? So to create an EIR, you can use also the Solibri IDS editor, where you can create the specification that are needed in your BIM model. And therefore, we have also a connection to BSDD. Probably some of you already heard about BSDD. It's the Building Smart Data Dictionary. So there are dictionaries existing where the information is already predefined. So you can just select the information from the BSDD instead of creating the requirement from the scratch. And to check the IDS file after you created one with the Solibri IDS editor, of course, you need an IFC model. So when you are modeling in your authoring tool, your BIM model, you need to convert it into IFC, and together with the IDS file, you can then do or run the validation check with rule 244. And if you have spotted some issues, then it's the normal process. You are creating issues and then sync it to your CDE or issue management system. And then the BIM modeler is able to fetch that issue and do some rework. So what we have in our IDS editor in the beta, the connection to the BSDD, and what will come is also a PDF extraction, so you can attach the created IDS file or extract it in PDF and attach it to the EIR document if you like. But let's have a look like how does the IDS editor look like. So if you are starting like to specify, for an example, please check if all walls have the property is external. You have on the left the applicability section. You say, okay, I want to check the IFC walls. And on the right, you are specifying the requirements. So this walls should have the information is external. And as you can see, we also have here a drop-down menu based on the IFC schema, what you want to use, and then you can just select the information what you want to check instead of typing it from the scratch. So as another specification, I'm specifying here now the doors and want to check like if they have the property fire rating. So I'm selecting that in pset door comment fire rating, and instead of using exact value, I'm now using a list of values. So I can type in some values that are requested in my project, and I'm checking if my value of the IFC doors contain one of these values at the end. So this is how I can create an IDS file. The next step is like when I downloaded the IDS file, and I open that up with an XML editor, it looks like that. So we can see here the specification, the applicability, where I said I want to check IFC walls, and also that the walls should have the value is external. But you don't need to focus on that. It's only for your understanding here. So I can now take this IDS file and open up the rule set manager and searching for rule 244 and drop this IDS file here, or the recommended way is like using the IDS file and just drag and drop it in the checking section. So it will be splitted on the specification what I did with IFC wall and door. How does that look like? I can show you here. Like I'm taking now the IDS file, and now it is splitted into wall requirements and also door requirements, and I just hit the check button, and now I can spot like what components have failed and what have passed in a way. And as you can see, all the doors have failed since they don't have the value like specified in my IDS file. We are supporting with the checking here, in the validation environment, every IDS version, what was existing, so 09.6, 09.7, and also version 1. You probably ask yourself now how to use the IDS editor. Therefore, you can log in as a Solibri customer in idseditor.solibri.com if you have a license, and you can just create an IDS file like you want, and yeah, you can go ahead. And if you have done that, please also download our latest version, what will be released probably this week, 24.12. There are the latest enhancements also in the IDS validation rule, and that you can download in the Solibri Solution Center. But let's have a quick look in the IDS editor itself. Therefore, I go in the IDS editor, and I have opened up the IDS editor beta environment to show you our latest improvements. So what you can see here, that we are offering several languages. So if you are not familiar with English, you can also use the French version or German, Finnish, or the Japanese version. And what is mandatory, it's the title. You need to give the IDS file a title. What our additional meta information is like, I can say what file version it is, when was it created, I'm the author, and also adding the copyright. This is relevant for our next step for the PDF extraction, what I mentioned in the presentation. Give it also a purpose and a milestone. For an example, draft planning phase can give a description. And as you can see here, now the specification part is beginning. And here's some additional information. If you have an IDS file already, you can also upload an IDS file. And if you want to reset the whole specification, you are able to do so here. But let's start to create an IDS file. So I want to check walls if they have the property is external. So I want to check it on an IFC model, what is made of the IFC4 schema. So I'm selecting that here. And now I'm able like to select the entity, the applicability. So this is a pre-filtering in a way, like what component do I want to check on what condition, and this is the requirement. I can also add here the cardinality, so this component is required in a way. This is given by default, but I can also set not allowed or optional if that component shouldn't be part of my model. So I can also add here the cardinality. But the default is always required here. And if I now want to check it on a property, on an IFC property, I'm able to select it here, pset wall comment, for an example. But if I have a custom property set, I'm also able to type something in. That means, of course, the data type I also need to set up. But when I'm choosing some properties from the IFC standard, then I have the data type predefined already, and I can now select, for an example, this. Please check me every walls that should have the information is external. Then instead of having a value here, I can also say any value. So I'm checking only if the information is existing. Doesn't matter if true or false, at least the information should be there. This is my first specification, what I have done. We can now do that also with door. I give you some example with door, and then we are checking the attribute, and not any attribute, we are checking the name. So when I want to do that, I can search for doors here. Can also filter it down on a predefined type if I want to, but we skip that now. Oh, let's do that again. IFC door. Add a requirement. I want to check now the attribute, and here I want to check the name. Now I can select like the value type. Should it be an exact name or any name or a regex pattern? Regex pattern means like it's kind of a wildcard in a way. I can say, okay, in the name, the door should be contained in the name. So it is checking, like for an example, if it is yeah, a wood door would pass. That would then be the case if I'm creating a regex pattern that says, okay, door should be part of the name in any way, for an example. It's a bit different from the wildcards you are used to in Solibri. If you have more questions on that, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. But we are choosing now the lengths. So for an example, if you want to do a naming convention in a way, you can here choose the length. And then I say, okay, the name should have 5 to 8 characters or numbers, whatever. And I'm specifying it like that. How that looks like as a result, let's have a look later. So this is my specification number 2. I'm now doing a specification on slab if it has the material concrete. So let's have a look. I see slab, and then I'm choosing material here. And the material name should be concrete. I can do it like that. Or what I mentioned before is like we also have the connection to BSDD. That means I'm clicking here on the material from BSDD and searching now for concrete and searching which dictionary in BSDD has the material concrete. So I don't need to do it from the scratch. I can just select it, but let's also have a quick look how that looks like in BSDD. In the building smart data dictionary, okay, there's a dictionary called WASTE that have material concrete, and I can select that. Of course, I could also select more if I want to, like wood, and also now I missed the other one, concrete. I was not adding that. And now I have like 2 specifications based on the building smart data dictionary. But let's go ahead with the concrete. So as you can see, we have connections to building smart data dictionary related to classification material, but property will follow in the future for you as an information. And then let's do another one, window, for an example, and let's check for relations. So I'm typing in now the window and the part of, and this window should now have a relation to an IC building story in a way. And not any relation, it should be contained in that special structure. So I'm creating this IDS file now. Let's download that. Okay, it's downloaded. And let's switch to Solibri itself. So as you can see, I have here a model loaded, a structure and architecture model loaded, and I want to check now if the requirements, what I have specified in the IDS model, if the requirements are fulfilled here in my BIM model, and therefore I'm going into the checking section. I have here the downloaded IDS file, and I can just drag and drop it here in this section, in the checking section. And now you can see I have the 4 specification what I did before in the IDS editor. And what I also did here, I added here in the view the parameters on the right to see like what was exactly checked. So I can see here walls, what we have defined before. Walls should be checked for like if they have the information is external. Let's have a look at the results. So two walls are failing. And why do they are failing? If we have a look at the IFC standard properties and also PSET wall common, what we wanted to check, they don't have the is external information. If we have a look like in the walls that are not failing, we can see they have that kind of information existing. The same with the doors. So we had specified that the name should have characters from 5 to 8. And here we have a door here with a lot of more characters. It contains 15 characters. So entrance office definitely has more than 8 characters. And here's another door failing that only have 4 characters. If we want to have a look like in the past ones, we can see here, okay, the name characters are in total 8. So these doors are all passing. So this requirement is fulfilled here for these doors at least. Then we said like the slabs should have the material concrete. And if we take a look here at the data, the information data, and look for material, we can see, yeah, there is concrete, but it's not the exact value what we have specified. It's called concrete structural. If we want to have it only that it contains concrete and then it should pass, then we need to create a pattern for that. But in this case, everything is correct. It is called concrete structural and not concrete, so these slabs are failing. If we take a look like into the results, we also have some slabs that are not failing. And when we go here to the material, it has the information concrete in a way. And for the windows, the relation exists. They have the relationship to the container IFC building story, so everything is fine in this case. So this is how you check IDS files pretty quickly. Just drag and drop it in the checking environment. If you, of course, want to have a look in the rule set manager and doing that from the scratch, you can also search here for rule 244 and then just drag and drop the IDS rule here. And then you can also work with the IDS rule, of course, instead of doing the drag and drop. So what are we doing now with these results, what we have created here? Of course, everyone who knows Solibri of you knows the process. Then I'm adding a slide and say like give that issue some information. So I can change the title and also the description if I want. Give some more information about the status of the issue, like what kind of issue type is it, what status is it still open, what priority does it have, and also who's responsible to do changes if some informations are missing or if the informations are wrong, and I also can comment that. And if I have created that issue, then I, of course, can sync it to an issue management system or also create a BCF out of that. That's about the IDS workflow in Solibri, and hopefully you have a lot of questions now, and there are some questions in the chat, and also like you can of course reach out to me later if you want to. I would give the mic now to Maya.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. And thank you everyone for staying here. The technical issues that we faced earlier is just shows you that our webinars are really live. It's not pre-recorded. So This was your IDS workflow in 30 minutes, and the timer here shows that 30 minutes has passed. We have some questions in the chat, but if you can stay with me for a couple of seconds, we would like to understand a little bit more about where exactly does the IDS come up in your project. So if you can quickly drop in the chat if it's other, so where, which stage uh, of the process do you use the IDS? Yes, thank you. We'd appreciate it. We would like to understand more. How do you use it? So I am sharing the results here quickly. I have one final comment, actually two. So first of all, if you have used the IDS editor, or are you planning to use it after now Paul has given us this demo? All right, and I will give you just a couple more seconds to vote. Please do so. And here are the results. So there is 55% are planning to use it after the demo, so it's great. You found this helpful. And we would like to understand finally if what is the need, and if there is a need for a more detailed Solibri demo. We cannot really promise anything, but we would like to understand the need so that we can plan our activities for next year. All right.
Quite a
Thank you
lot.
so much. Yes, yes, there is a need and there is an interest for this subject. So yes, thank you so much for staying here with us, and we will get back to the questions. All right. I have marked some questions for us, Paul, so that you can
Mhm.
check which ones need to be answered live.
Okay. Um, I guess the yellow one, right?
Yes. Maybe we can start from Peter, who is asking, are multiple IFC classes possible in the Solibri editor, or is that still being implemented?
We wanted to have it for this demonstration session, but there was too much time pressure, so it will be implemented in our beta environment. I showed you the beta environment, probably today or tomorrow. We want to support that pattern and enum functionality of IC entities. So that you are able to check more than only one IFC class at the same time. Yep, that will come.
All right, stay tuned for that. And then Emil is asking, is there any way to check all objects with an IFC entity if they have a specific property set or a certain property? For example, I want to check if all objects in my IFC model have a certain property set without adding all IFC entities.
Yeah, that's nearly the same questions. So we are implementing the regex pattern and also the enum for the entity. With the regex pattern, there are some regex pattern generator in the internet. You can quickly create a pattern that contains like, please filter me every IFC entities existing, and then you can also run the specify the requirement and run the check with that. Yeah.
All right, so stay tuned for that. there is another one from Joaquim. So if we have custom property sets, this won't be possible. It all needs to be according to the BSDD.
Custom property sets are possible. So we are offering the properties in a way that is containing the IFC properties. If you don't want to go with the IFC properties, you can just modify them in the newest version, in the beta version at least. So we combine customer properties and properties in a way. And if you want to have customer properties in BSDD, you need to create your own data dictionary in a way in BSDD, and then you can connect from the IDS CD to BSDD and select your properties. So the thing why we wanted to have the connection to BSDD is like if you can just select the properties quickly by uh, by the checkbox in a way, then it's a much faster way than just creating everything from scratch. Yeah.
All right. There is a question from Patrick. Will there be a way to check all IFC entities at the same time?
Yeah,
For
it's the
instance,
same question
yes,
like we
it's
had before in a way. Yeah.
repeating. Yes. Now we're getting a lot of questions, so I'm trying to check which ones we have already answered. Please feel free to check a question from your side, Paul.
Yes, if I think we can't answer every question. So after the webinar, we can go through it and answer it in detail and come back to you in a way.
Maybe we can choose final 2 questions to answer.
Yeah. When will the IDS editor beta go live? We are planning to do that this week. We will have a session today and tomorrow. Like, are we ready to go live with that or not? In a way, but as shown here in this demonstration session, we are developing new features and so on, and they are quite in a good stage already. So I guess this week.
All right, one final question. Yeah, there's a lot of questions about combining different entities. Can you isolate the check of elements that are part of an IFC relegate or IFC rel nest?
Where is that question?
Um,
I need to check that by myself.
It's from David, one of the first ones.
From David. Can you isolate the check of elements that are part of? I'm not sure if I got that question.
Okay.
So
Okay.
whenever, so in Solibri at least, of course, when you are creating a specification in the IDS editor and you just drag and drop it, that specification is like handled as a single rule in a way. So you are isolating that check if you want to do that with part of. Regarding what kind of relation or part of we are supporting, I'm not sure if we are supporting real aggregate, but I need to double check that. But yeah, I come back to that question. Yeah.
All right. So the questions that were not answered, we will come back to you via email and let you know of the answers. And of course, in the recording, we will share if there is something important to share, if one of the questions were were important so that we can share it with everybody. But thank you everyone for attending today's session. And if you still have any questions after the webinar, please feel free to contact Paul or me. Here are the emails showing in on your screens. So we hope you have a nice holiday time or holiday waiting time and wonderful holiday days. And we will see you again next year. Thank you so much, Paul, for this session and all the informations. And yes, let's meet again next year. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
also for me. Thanks. Bye.